She told me, "If anything happens to me, don't believe it was an accident." Those were the words whispered by a young woman just weeks before her death, words that now echo like a haunting prophecy. This is not a story about strangers in the night. It is not about chance encounters or random violence. This is about love, about betrayal, about a triangle of passion that spiraled into obsession, manipulation, and ultimately murder. A shattered family, a broken community, and a case that forces us to ask, how well do we ever really know the people closest to us? Her name was Hannah Mitchell. She was 28 years old, born and raised in the small town of Pine Ridge, a tight-knit community in the Midwest. To her friends, Hannah was the safe place, the one who listened, who made people feel seen. Her parents, David and Ruth Mitchell, called her the glue of the family, the one who never forgot birthdays, who called her grandmother every Sunday, who believed memories should be captured because pictures don't fade. Hannah worked as a pediatric nurse at Pine Ridge Medical Center. Children adored her, colleagues admired her. She was the kind of nurse who stayed late not for pay, but because she couldn't bear to see a frightened child alone. She loved hiking the trails outside town, loved her golden retriever Bailey, loved singing in the church choir, even if she laughed that she was always a little off-key. She was steady, compassionate, grounded. But even the most grounded lives can be torn apart when trust is placed in the wrong hands. In the fall of 2017, Hannah's world collided with a man who would forever change her life. His name was Mark Lawson. Mark was 32, charismatic, the kind of man who filled a room with energy. He had moved to Pine Ridge for work, taking a job at a construction firm. New, exciting, different, he caught Hannah's attention. They met at a barbecue through mutual friends. He introduced himself with an easy smile and told her, "You must be the Hannah I've heard about. The nurse with the heart of gold." Friends described him as smooth. He remembered details, made people feel important. For Hannah, who had always chosen stability, his adventurous spirit felt intoxicating. Within weeks, they were inseparable dinners, long walks, late-night drives. Friends said she lit up in a way they hadn't seen before, but Mark wasn't free. In town, working at a diner, was Rachel Evans. Rachel was 30, sharp-tongued and fiercely loyal. She and Mark had been in an on-and-off relationship for nearly 5 years. To her, he wasn't just a boyfriend. He was her person, the man she fought with, forgave, and envisioned a future with. When Mark began to drift, Rachel's suspicions grew. And soon enough, the truth unraveled. Mark wasn't just distant. He was with Hannah. At first, Hannah didn't know. Mark brushed off his connection to Rachel, calling her a complicated past. He told Hannah, "It's over. She's not in the picture anymore." But Rachel saw it differently. Co-workers remembered her exhausted, distracted, saying, "He's slipping away. If he thinks I'm just going to let that happen, he's wrong." Hannah's friends noticed changes too. She grew more guarded. She second-guessed herself. Her best friend Lena remembered asking if she was okay. Hannah had smiled, but it wasn't real. She had said, "Love isn't always simple. Sometimes you just have to fight for it." It didn't sound like Hannah at all, and Mark was changing too. He bristled when she picked up shifts. He hated when she spent weekends with her family. He told her once, "You're mine, Hannah. Don't forget that." Rachel confronted her at her workplace. Harsh words were exchanged in parking lots. Accusations hurled on social media. By early 2018, Pine Ridge was buzzing with whispers. What began as romance had turned into rivalry, and soon it would turn deadly. By spring, Rachel's anger boiled over. One afternoon, she confronted Hannah outside a grocery store, shouting, "You think you can steal him from me?" Hannah's voice trembled. "I didn't know, Rachel. I didn't know." For Hannah, it was agonizing. She had never wanted to hurt anyone, but she was trapped in a feud she never asked for. Her mother noticed her growing quiet, her sleepless nights, her haunted stares. Mark reassured her that Rachel was just bitter. He told her, "What we have is real." What Hannah didn't know was that he was still meeting Rachel, still dangling the possibility of reconciliation. The triangle had become toxic, a cycle of betrayal and denial spiraling toward disaster. On June 12, 2018, Hannah met Lena for coffee. Lena would never forget it. She looked so tired. She told me she felt like she was being followed, that Rachel had been sending her messages, things like, "You'll regret this." Hannah admitted she thought about ending things with Mark, but she wasn't sure how. That night, she wrote in her journal, "I just want peace again. I don't know who to trust anymore, but I can't keep living like this." The next evening, June 13th, would be her last. It was an ordinary Wednesday. Hannah finished a double shift, texted her mom, "Just leaving now. So exhausted. Can't wait for a bath and bed." At 7:43 p.m., security footage showed her pulling into her driveway. Bailey barked from the yard as she parked. Neighbors later reported hearing raised voices around 8:15. By 9, silence. The next morning, a co-worker found her house unlocked. Bailey was whining inside. And there, in the living room, was Hannah, brutally attacked, blunt force trauma, multiple stab wounds, signs of a struggle, overturned furniture, shattered frames, blood-spattered walls. On the coffee table, her journal lay open, smeared with blood. The last line she had written, "I can't do this anymore." The investigation began with the obvious suspects: Mark Lawson, Rachel Evans. Mark claimed he was watching basketball at a friend's house, but his story shifted. Rachel insisted she was at work, and diner cameras backed her up. Neighbors mentioned a dark pickup truck parked near Hannah's house. Another recalled a woman shouting, "Stop! Please, just stop!" Forensic teams worked the house. They found fingerprints, swabs, blood evidence. Hannah's phone and laptop were missing. 2 weeks later, they found a strand of hair clenched in her hand. It belonged to Mark Lawson. Prosecutor Jenna Hart said, "The evidence showed a struggle." Hannah fought back. She held his hair in her hand in her final moments. Still, defense arguments lingered. Mark had been in her house before, but then came the breakthrough. On July 5th, Hannah's phone was recovered from a ditch. Technicians salvaged her last messages. At 8:11 p.m., "He's here. I'm scared." At 8:12 p.m., "If anything happens, it's Mark." With that, the case tightened. Investigators dug deeper into Mark's past. They found domestic violence accusations in Kansas City, a restraining order in St. Louis, women who had accused him of stalking, of threats. None had stuck, but the pattern was clear: jealousy, control, rage. Meanwhile, Rachel's alibi remained solid. Yet texts revealed Mark stringing her along too, one night breaking it off, the next suggesting they might reconcile. Co-workers recalled Rachel saying, "If I can't have him, no one should." Prosecutors argued he thrived on manipulating both women, and when Hannah began to pull away, he snapped. On July 10, 2018, police arrested Mark at his job site. He muttered to reporters, "You've got the wrong guy." But the evidence mounted: Hannah's texts, his DNA, neighbors' accounts, his past. The trial opened in September 2019. The courtroom was packed. Hannah's family sat in the front row, her mother clutching a framed photo. Rachel attended some sessions too. Prosecutor Hart declared, "When Hannah chose herself over him, he chose violence." Jurors heard the timeline. They saw the texts. They heard Lena read aloud Hannah's last message. "If anything happens, it's Mark." Silence gripped the room. The defense tried to suggest Rachel's involvement, but her co-workers confirmed her alibi. After weeks of testimony, the jury returned guilty. Mark Lawson was convicted of first-degree murder and sentenced to life without parole. For the Mitchell family, justice brought relief, not closure. Her brother Matthew said, "Justice doesn't bring her back. It doesn't fill the empty seat at the table. But at least he'll never hurt anyone else." They built the Hannah Mitchell Foundation, dedicated to raising awareness about intimate partner violence. Every June, they hold a vigil. Hundreds gather, candles glowing, photos raised, pledging to fight for change. Ruth Mitchell speaks often. She told the crowd, "Hannah loved with her whole heart. That's what made her vulnerable. But it's what made her extraordinary. We can't let her story end with tragedy. We must carry her light forward." And yet, even with the conviction, doubt lingers. Mark has never admitted guilt. In prison interviews, he claims he was framed. He says Rachel and Hannah argued violently that night and someone else intervened. Then, in 2021, an anonymous letter arrived at Pine Ridge Police. It claimed there was more to the story of June 13th and that Rachel knows what really happened. Detectives quietly reopened parts of the case. No new charges have come, but whispers remain. Was Mark truly the only one responsible? Or is there still a hidden truth buried beneath the triangle of love, jealousy, and betrayal? For now, those questions linger. The story of Hannah Mitchell is more than a case file. It is a warning. Love can turn to control, passion to obsession. Lives can be shattered when jealousy replaces trust. If you or someone you know is in a relationship marked by fear or threats, reach out for help. You are not alone. Remembering Hannah means listening, noticing red flags, believing people when they say they feel unsafe. Silence is dangerous. Awareness can save lives. So what do you think? Was justice truly served? Or are there secrets still waiting to be uncovered? Share your thoughts in the comments. Your voice matters. Your questions keep stories like Hannah's alive. If this case moved you, please like, share, and subscribe. It helps us continue to shine light on stories that deserve to be told. This is Evidence Uncovered. And this was the love triangle that shattered a family.